12 students sat in a half circle, listening to Professor Yeneth explain the art of reading alien body language. The old Malurian waved 3 of his 6 arms while the other 3 held teaching materials. His voice was soft and patient, the kind of voice that had taught thousands of students over 200 years. Danny Kowalski sat in the back row, sketching engine diagrams in his notebook. He was not supposed to be at the Galactic Academy of Diplomatic Sciences. A bureaucratic error had placed the Polish engineering student here instead of the Technical Institute on Station 47. But after one semester, he had made friends. Good friends. So he stayed 0.2 rows ahead. Princess Rilla of the Diluvian Empire took careful notes. Her body glowed with soft blue light that pulsed gently when she concentrated. Membrane-like appendages flowed from her head like living hair. She was third in line to rule over 40 billion souls. But here, she was just another student trying to pass her exams. Beside Danny sat Gareth, his roommate. The Bovillian stood 8 feet tall, even while sitting, with 4 gentle eyes and a body covered in soft brown fur. He was an herbivore from a low-gravity world, terrified of violence in any form. He was also the most loyal friend Danny had ever known. Body language, Professor Yeneth continued, is the universal truth that words try to hide. Every species has tells. Every species reveals emotion through movement, posture, chemical signals. Your task as diplomats will be to read these signs. Danny looked up from his sketching. Something felt wrong that he scanned the room slowly. There was Rilla, glowing softly. Gareth, his ears twitching with interest. 2 crystalline students who chimed quietly when they moved. A Fenari named Tess who had been in their class all semester. Danny stopped on Tess. The Fenari species had quick, nervous movements. Their eyes blinked rapidly, and they often tapped their clawed feet when sitting still. Danny had sat behind Tess for 4 months. He knew her patterns. Today, Tess was too smooth. Her blinks came at perfect intervals. Her movements had no randomness. She sat perfectly still between actions, like a machine waiting for the next command. Danny did not react. He looked back down his notebook and kept sketching, but now he was watching Tess from the corner of his eye. For our practical examination today, Professor Yeneth announced, you will demonstrate your ability to read classmates. One student will display a hidden emotion. Others will identify it. Tess raised her hand. I will volunteer to go first. Something cold settled in Danny's stomach. On Earth, that feeling had a name. Humans called it instinct. It was the ancient part of the brain that remembered being prey, that recognized predators even when the conscious mind saw nothing wrong. Tess walked to the front of the room. She turned to face the class with a smile. Danny was already rising from his seat. What emotion am I displaying? Tess asked the class. Nervousness? Guessed one of the crystalline students. Anticipation? Tried another. Danny stood fully. Gareth looked up at him with confusion. Danny? What are you doing? Tess's smile widened. Her eyes locked onto Danny. The human sees it. Yeah, Danny said quietly. I see it. What do you see, little Deathworlder? The room went silent. Deathworlder. The word meant something in galactic society. It meant a being from a planet so hostile that survival required constant violence. Earth was classified as a class, 12 Deathworld. Extreme gravity, extreme weather, predators everywhere, disease, disaster, war. Humans were not supposed to exist. Evolution on Earth was a horror story that other species told their children. I see a predator, Danny said, and I see that you are not Tess. The thing wearing Tess's face laughed. The sound was wrong, layered with tones that no Fenari throat could produce. Then it changed. The transformation took 3 seconds. Fenari fur melted away. Bones shifted and cracked. The creature grew taller, its body becoming a nightmare blend of parts stolen from a dozen species. Claws from one world, scales from another. A face that had no fixed form, constantly rippling, a shifter. An assassin from the Hollow Syndicate, screaming, filled the room. Students ran for the door, but it would not open. The shifter had sealed it somehow. Gareth fell backward, his 4 eyes wide with terror. The crystalline students cracked from stress, pieces of their bodies falling away. Professor Yeneth reached for an emergency beacon, but a spike shot from the shifter's arm and struck him in the chest. He collapsed, paralyzed. "I am here for the diluvian air," the shifter announced. Its voice was calm, professional. "The rest of you may live if you do not interfere." Rilla's glow turned bright white with fear. She could not move, could not speak. Danny stepped in front of her. The room went quiet again. Even the terrified students stopped their crying to stare. The shifter tilted its head. "Move aside, human." "No. You know what I am. You know what I can do. Your species has survival instincts. Use them. Run." Danny's heartbeat was steady. His breathing was controlled. On Earth, his ancestors had faced lions, wolves, and bears. They had faced ice ages and plagues. They had faced each other in endless wars. Fear was familiar to humans. It was an old friend that visited often, but fear did not control them. "I know what you are," Danny said. "Do you know what I am?" The shifter paused. It had consumed human genetic material before. It had mimicked humans on 3 occasions. They always ran when faced with a superior predator. Always, this one was not running. "You are prey," the shifter said, but there was uncertainty in its voice now. Danny reached down and picked up a chair. It was not much of a weapon. It would have to do. "Then come eat," he said. The shifter moved first. It crossed the distance between them in half a second, claws extended, mouth opening to reveal rows of stolen teeth. Any normal prey would have frozen. Any normal prey would have died in that moment. Danny was not normal prey. He swung the chair with both hands, putting his full body weight behind it. The metal connected with the shifter's head and sent it stumbling sideways. Danny did not wait. He followed with another swing, then another, driving the creature back. "Get Rilla out," he shouted to the room. "Someone get that door open." Gareth was shaking so badly he could barely stand. Vomit covered the floor near his feet. But he heard Danny's voice, and something in that voice made him move. He crawled toward the door panel, trying to override the lock. The shifter recovered and came at Danny again. This time it was ready for the chair. One clawed hand caught the metal and ripped it from Danny's grip. The other hand slashed across his chest. Pain exploded through Danny's body. Blood soaked his shirt. He staggered back, but did not fall. "You bleed," the shifter observed. "You feel pain. Why do you not run?" Danny answered by throwing a punch. The shifter blocked it easily. It grabbed Danny's arm and twisted. Bones creaked. Danny grunted, but did not scream. "Fascinating," the shifter said. "Your body is releasing chemicals to suppress pain. Your heart rate has actually decreased. You are calming down during combat. We call it adrenaline," Danny said through gritted teeth. "My ancestors used it to kill mammoths." He headbutted the shifter in the face. The impact hurt Danny as much as it hurt the creature, but the shifter had not expected it. No other species used their own skull as a weapon. It released Danny's arm in surprise. Danny grabbed a broken piece of the chair and stabbed it into the shifter's leg. The creature howled and kicked Danny across the room. He hit the wall hard enough to crack it and fell to the floor. Behind them, Rilla finally found her voice. "Stop. Take me. Leave him alone." Danny pushed himself up onto his hands and knees. Blood dripped from his wounds. His vision was blurry. He could feel at least 2 cracked ribs. "Stay back," he growled at Rilla. "I mean it. You are dying for nothing," the shifter said. It pulled the metal from its leg and threw it aside. The wound was already healing. "I will complete my contract. I always complete my contract. Your death will be meaningless." Danny stood up. It took effort. It hurt. But he stood. "Maybe," he said, "but you will have to earn it." The shifter attacked again. This time Danny did not try to fight with strength. Humans had never been the strongest creatures on Earth. They had survived through endurance, through stubbornness, through the refusal to give up even when everything said they should. Danny dodged the first strike, took the second on his shoulder instead of his throat, ducked under the third, and got inside the shifter's reach. Then he grabbed onto the creature and refused to let go. The shifter thrashed. It clawed at Danny's back, leaving deep gouges. It tried to shake him off, but Danny locked his arms around its body in a hold his grandfather had taught him. A wrestling hold from a small village in Poland, designed to bring down opponents twice your size. "Release me!" the shifter screamed. Danny squeezed harder. His muscles were built for Earth gravity. 1 full G of constant pressure, every moment of every day. The shifter was strong, but its strength came from speed and claws and genetic theft. It had never faced something that simply would not let go. They fell to the floor together. The shifter rolled and twisted, trying to escape. Danny held on. His arms burned. His wounds screamed. He held on. "What are you?" the shifter gasped. "Human," Danny said. "We hold on. Is what we do." At the door, Gareth finally broke through the lock. The door slid open, and Academy security rushed in with weapons raised. They stopped when they saw the scene before them. A bleeding human had an assassin pinned to the floor in an unbreakable grip. The human was covered in wounds that should have killed him. The assassin was thrashing like a wild animal. Could someone restrain this thing? Danny asked calmly. "I'm getting tired." Security moved forward with specialized restraints. It took 4 of them to hold the shifter while Danny finally released his grip. He lay on the floor for a moment, breathing hard. The ceiling above him was a nice ceiling, very well designed. He would have to compliment the architects. Rilla appeared above him, her glow now pale pink with worry. "Danny, you need medical attention." "I need a nap," Danny corrected. "You are bleeding everywhere." "I've been told that is bad for the carpet." Gareth's massive face appeared next to Rilla's. The Bovillian was still shaking, but there were tears in all 4 of his eyes. "You saved her. You saved all of us." Danny closed his eyes. "Anyone would have done it." "No," Rilla said softly. "They would not have. Only you." Security medics arrived and began treating Danny's wounds. As they worked, he heard one of them speak into a communicator. "Contact Earth's embassy. Tell them a Deathworlder just engaged a hollow syndicate assassin in hand-to-hand combat. Tell them he won." Danny smiled and let unconsciousness take him. 6 hours later, Danny woke up in the medical bay with more patches on his body than skin showing. The room was quiet and white. Machines beeped softly, monitoring his vital signs. A Diluvian healing pod hummed nearby, pumping regenerative compounds into his bloodstream. Danny tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. The doctor said you should not move for another 12 hours. He turned his head to see a woman standing by the door. She wore Earth military uniform with the insignia of a Marine instructor. Her hair was gray, her face was hard, and her eyes carried the weight of too many wars. "Instructor Coldwell," Danny said. "They called you." "A human fights a shifter with a chair and wins." "Of course they called me." She walked closer and looked down at him. "That was either very brave or very stupid. Can it be both?" Coldwell did not smile. "The shifter you captured is talking. It belongs to the Hollow Syndicate. They're the most expensive assassins in the galaxy. Someone paid a fortune to kill Princess Rilla." Danny processed this information. "Why?" "Politics. The Diluvian Empire is about to sign a trade agreement with 3 other systems. Some people do not want that to happen." Coldwell pulled up a chair and sat down. "The real question is how the assassin knew exactly when and where to find her. That classroom schedule was not public information. Someone on the inside," Danny said. "Yes, and here's the problem." Coldwell leaned forward. "The captured shifter says she was not working alone. There are 2 more assassins hidden in the Academy. They could be anyone. They could look like anyone." Danny stared at the ceiling. His body hurt. His head hurt. He wanted to sleep for a week. "I need to get back to Rilla," he said. "You need to stay in this bed and heal." "With respect, instructor, I was not asking for permission." Coldwell studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. "Your grandfather was the same way. Stubborn beyond reason." "You knew my grandfather?" "I knew of him. The man who walked 40 kilometers through a blizzard to reach his family after the uprising. The man who carried his wounded brother on his back for 3 days." Coldwell stood up. "Stubbornness runs in your blood, Kowalski. Just try not to die from it." She left the room. Danny lay still for another hour, letting the healing compounds do their work. Then he disconnected himself from the machines, ignored the alarms, and walked out of the medical bay. He found Rilla in her quarters, surrounded by guards. She looked up when he entered. and her glow turned bright gold with relief. "You should be resting," she said. "I will rest when you are safe." Danny looked at the guards. They were Academy security, well-trained, but not prepared for shifter assassins. "Has anyone new approached you?" "No. They have kept me isolated." Danny nodded. That was good. But isolation could not last forever. The assassins would find a way in eventually. They needed a better plan. Gareth arrived a few minutes later, carrying food and water. The Bovillian still looked shaken, but he had stopped trembling. "I brought supplies," he said. "I thought we might be here for a while." Danny took a water container and drank deeply. "Thank you, Gareth. I also brought this." Gareth reached into his bag and pulled out a metal rod. It was part of a maintenance tool, heavy and solid. "I thought you might need a new weapon, since the chair is broken." Danny took the rod. It felt good in his hand. "You did not have to do this." "You are my friend," Gareth said simply. "You protected Rilla. You protected all of us. I cannot fight like you do, but I can help in other ways." Rilla moved closer to both of them. Her glow was warm orange now, the color of gratitude. "I have known many people in my life. Nobles, politicians, warriors. None of them would have done what you did, Danny. None of them would have stayed." Danny felt uncomfortable with the praise. On Earth, protecting friends was normal. Expected. You did not leave people behind. You did not abandon them when danger came. It was not special. It was just what you did. "We need to find the other assassins before they find us," he said, changing the subject. "The shifters can copy any species perfectly. We cannot trust appearances." "Then how do we find them?" Rilla asked. Danny thought about it. Shifters copied bodies, but did they copy everything? Did they understand the small details that made each species unique? "We test people," he said slowly. "We ask questions only real students would know. We check reactions to things that should be familiar." An idea formed in his mind. "And we use things that humans know about, but other species might not expect." "Like what?" Gareth asked. Danny smiled for the first time since waking up. "Like capsaicin." The others looked confused. "Trust me," Danny said. "I have a plan." The Academy dining hall served food from 200 different worlds. Danny had always found this impressive. Today, he found it useful that he stood in the kitchen with the head chef, a four-armed galleon who looked concerned about what Danny was asking. "You want me to add this to all the food?" the chef asked, holding up a small container of red powder. "Not all the food, just certain dishes, and only a tiny amount." Danny pointed to the container. "This is capsaicin. Humans eat it regularly. We actually enjoy it. But most other species have never encountered it before." "What does it do?" "It makes things taste hot. Spicy. Humans feel a burning sensation, but it does not harm us. Other species might react differently." The chef considered this. "And you think this will reveal the assassins?" Shifters copy genetic material. They learn to mimic bodies, but they do not experience food the same way their copied species does. Danny had worked this out while lying in the medical bay. A real Finari might dislike spicy food, but they would recognize the sensation. A shifter pretending to be Finari would not know how to react properly. The plan was simple. Add trace amounts of capsaicin to the dining hall food. Watch how people reacted. Anyone who responded strangely would be investigated. The first test happened at lunch. Danny sat with Rilla and Gareth at a table near the center of the hall. Four other human students had joined them. They had volunteered to help after hearing what Danny had done. There was Sarah from Australia, built like a fighter and twice as mean. There was Pavel from Russia, quiet and watchful. There was Amara from Nigeria, brilliant and quick thinking. And there was Diego from Brazil, who smiled easily but had cold eyes, 0.6 Deathworlders in one place. The dining hall felt safer already. "Everyone is eating normally," Rilla observed. Her glow was muted today, trying not to attract attention. "Give it time," Danny said. 20 minutes passed. Students ate, talked, laughed. Everything seemed normal. Then a scream came from the far corner of the hall. A Mellori student had collapsed, clutching their throat. Their skin was changing color rapidly, shifting through shades of blue and green in a pattern no Mellori could produce. Security moved immediately. The shifter tried to run, but could not coordinate its stolen body. The capsaicin had disrupted something in its nervous system, causing its disguise to fail. They captured it within seconds. One down, Diego said with satisfaction. One to go, Danny replied. He was not celebrating. One shifter remained, and now it knew they were hunting it. The second assassin would be more careful. Over the next 3 days, Danny barely slept. He organized patrols with the other humans. He set up checkpoints at key locations. He personally escorted Rilla to every class. The academy had become a fortress, but fortresses could be breached from within. On the 4th night, it happened. Rilla had gone to use the cleaning facilities alone. Just for a moment. Just long enough for Danny to check a security report. When she did not return after 10 minutes, Danny knew something was wrong. He found her in the corridor outside, frozen in place. A figure stood behind her, one clawed hand pressed against her throat. The shifter had taken the form of Professor Yeneth. 6 arms, patient face, kind eyes. But the eyes were wrong. They held no warmth, only cold calculation. Do not move, Deathworlder, the shifter said in Yeneth's voice. One twitch, and I open her throat. Danny stopped walking. His heart pounded, but his hands were steady. You have studied us, he said. You knew about the capsaicin test. I watched and learned. I am patient. I am professional. The shifter's grip tightened slightly on Rilla's throat. Now you will let me leave with the princess, or you will watch her die. Danny looked at Rilla. Her glow was barely visible, white with terror. But her eyes were focused on him. Trusting him to find a solution, he had to think like a predator. Like a hunter from Earth who had chased prey across frozen plains and burning deserts. The fire suppression system, Danny said calmly. It uses nitrogen, does it not? The shifter frowned. What? Danny was already moving. Not toward the shifter, but toward a panel on the wall. His hand hit the emergency trigger. Alarm screamed. Jets of nitrogen gas flooded the corridor, designed to suffocate flames by removing oxygen. Humans could hold their breath for minutes. They had evolved diving for food, swimming in deep waters. Their bodies were built to survive without air. Shifters were not. The assassin gasped and released Rilla, its disguise flickering as it struggled to breathe. Danny lunged through the gas, grabbed Rilla, and pulled her away. Security arrived 30 seconds later to find Danny holding Rilla against his chest while a half-transformed shifter lay unconscious on the floor. Both assassins captured, Danny reported. Can someone turn off the alarm? It is very loud. Rilla was crying. Danny held her tighter and said nothing. Sometimes words were not needed. The last captured shifter was interrogated for hours. Danny watched through a security screen as Instructor Coldwell led the questioning. The assassin had returned to its true form now. It sat in a containment cell, its body shifting slowly between stolen features. It looked tired, defeated. The Hollow Syndicate does not forget, the shifter said. You may have stopped this contract, but there will be others. There are always others. Who hired you? Coldwell demanded. I do not know. We receive contracts through encrypted channels. Payment is anonymous. The shifter tilted its head toward the screen, as if it could see Danny watching. But I will tell you something for free, Deathworlder. My organization will remember what happened here. They will remember that a human stopped 3 of our best agents. Danny felt cold. This was not over. It would never be over. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of security meetings and diplomatic discussions. The Diluvian Empire sent investigators. Earth's embassy sent lawyers. Everyone wanted to know how the assassins had infiltrated the academy and who had given them inside information. Danny tried to stay out of the politics. He went back to his engineering studies. He helped Rilla catch up on the classes she had missed. He ate meals with Gareth and the other humans. But something had changed. The other students looked at him differently now. Not with the nervous curiosity they had shown before, but with something closer to respect or fear. Danny was not sure which point one evening. Gareth found him sitting alone on a balcony overlooking the academy gardens. The Bovillian's massive form blocked the doorway as he approached. You have been quiet lately, Gareth said. Danny shrugged. Just thinking. About what? About what the shifter said. That they will remember. That there will be others. Danny stared at the stars above. I came here by accident, Gareth. I was supposed to be learning how to build machines. Instead, I am fighting assassins. Gareth settled his bulk beside Danny. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "Do you regret it?" Gareth finally asked. Danny considered the question seriously. He thought about the pain of his wounds, the fear he had felt when the shifter held Rilla, the sleepless nights of hunting through the academy. "No," he said. "I do not regret protecting my friends." "Then why are you troubled?" "Because I am afraid I will have to keep doing it. And I am afraid that one day I will not be enough." Gareth made a soft sound, something between a laugh and a sigh. "I was terrified during the attack. I could barely move. I vomited from fear." He paused. "But you know what I remember most? I remember you telling me to open the door. And I did it. I was scared, but I did it because you needed me to." Danny looked at his friend. "You said something in the medical bay," Gareth continued. "You said being afraid and staying anyway matters more than not being afraid at all. I have thought about that every day since. It is just something my grandfather used to say. It is wisdom, and it is why I am not afraid anymore." Gareth placed one massive hand on Danny's shoulder. "You will face more dangers. We all will, but you will not face them alone. That is what friends are for." Danny felt something loosen in his chest, a knot of tension he had not realized he was carrying. Before he could respond, his communicator beeped. A message from Instructor Coldwell. "Report to Conference Room 7 immediately." They found a room filled with important people. Diluvian diplomats in flowing robes. Human military officers in formal uniforms. Academy administrators looking nervous. Rilla stood at the front of the room. Her glow was bright gold, the color of barely contained excitement. "Danny," she said as he entered, "we have news." One of the Diluvian diplomats stepped forward. "The Hollow Syndicate has made an official announcement. They have canceled all contracts against Princess Rilla." Danny blinked. "They canceled?" Their message was brief. The diplomat activated a holographic display. Text appeared in Galactic Standard. Contract terminated. Cost assessment. Deathworlder interference renders completion economically unfeasible. Recommendation. Avoid future engagements involving human protectors. The room was silent. Then Instructor Coldwell started laughing. It was a harsh sound, almost rusty, like she had forgotten how. "They are afraid of you," she said to Danny. "The most dangerous assassins in the galaxy are afraid of one engineering student from Poland." Danny did not know what to say. Rilla crossed the room and took his hands in her glowing ones. "You saved my life. You changed my future. The Empire will not forget this." "I do not need rewards," Danny said. "I just wanted you to be safe." "I know. That is why you deserve them." 1 month after the assassination attempt, the Academy held a ceremony. Representatives from 12 different worlds gathered in the main auditorium to honor those who had protected the institution. Danny tried to skip the event. "Absolutely not," Gareth said, physically blocking the door to their shared quarters. "You are going?" "I do not like ceremonies. People stare at me. People already stare at you. You are a Deathworlder who fought assassins with furniture." Gareth's 4 eyes narrowed. "You are going, even if I have to carry you." Danny looked at his friend. Gareth had changed in the past month. He stood taller now. His nervous trembling was gone. He had even started taking self-defense classes, taught by Sarah from the human contingent. "Fine, Denny grumbled. But I am not giving a speech." He gave a speech. The auditorium was packed with beings from across the galaxy. Danny stood at the podium, wearing a formal uniform that Coldwell had insisted upon, and tried not to think about how many eyes were watching him. "I am not good at this," he began. "I'm an engineering student. I came here by accident. I stayed because I made friends." He paused, looking out at the crowd. He could see Rilla in the front row, glowing soft pink with pride. Gareth sat beside her, all 4 eyes wet with emotion. The other human students were scattered throughout the audience, watching with knowing smiles. "Where I come from, we have a simple belief. You protect your friends. You do not leave them behind. You do not abandon them when things get hard." Danny shook his head. "That is not special. That is not heroic. That is just what you do. Always have. Always will." A murmur went through the crowd. Many species here did not share that belief. Their cultures valued survival, logic, self-preservation. The idea of risking everything for others was alien to them. That was the point. Humans come from a dangerous world. We evolved surrounded by predators, disasters, and each other. We should have died 1,000 times over. But we survived because we worked together, because we protected the weak, cared for the injured, and never gave up on each other. Danny looked directly at Rilla. Princess Rilla is my friend. When someone threatened her, I protected her. Not because she is royalty, not because I expected a reward. I protected her because that is what friends do. He stepped back from the podium. That is all I have to say. The applause started with Gareth. Then Rilla joined in. Then the other humans. Then, slowly, the entire auditorium rose to its feet. Danny wanted to disappear into the floor. Later, after the ceremony, a Galactic Council representative approached him with a medal. It was the highest civilian honor in known space, a small crystal that glowed with inner light. The Council wishes to recognize your bravery, the representative said formally. Danny took the medal and looked at it. Thank you. I will put it next to my engineering textbooks. The representative seemed confused by this response. Rilla found him afterward, standing outside the auditorium with Gareth and the human group. You did well, she said. Your speech was perfect. It was short. That is the best I could do. It was honest. That is better than perfect. Rilla's glow shifted to warm orange. The Diluvian Empire has offered you a position as official security consultant. The pay is considerable. Danny shook his head. I just want to finish my degree. I came here to learn engineering. I thought you might say that. Rilla smiled. My father also asked me to tell you that you are welcome in Diluvian space anytime. For the rest of your life. As an honored guest to the royal family. That was unexpected. Danny did not know how to respond. Thank you, he finally managed. The next day, classes resumed. Danny sat in Professor Yeneth's classroom, the same classroom where everything had started. The Malurian instructor had fully recovered from the paralytic poison and was back to his usual patient teaching. Today we will continue our study of body language, Yeneth announced. Danny, would you please demonstrate human expressions for the class? Danny groaned. I told you I am bad at that stuff. Nonsense. Stand up and show us a human smile. Reluctantly, Danny stood. He tried to smile. Based on the reactions of his classmates, he did not succeed. That is not a smile, Rilla laughed. That is the face you make when someone takes your coffee. See, Danny sat back down. Bad at this. His body language right now clearly says he is embarrassed. Gareth pointed out helpfully. Traitor, I am revoking your friend privileges. The class laughed. Even Professor Yeneth chuckled, his 6 arms waving with amusement. After class, Danny walked across the campus with his friends beside him. Rilla glowed softly in the afternoon light. Gareth's heavy footsteps echoed on the stone paths. Sarah, Pavel, Amara, and Diego followed behind, talking among themselves that a group of first-year students watched them pass. Danny heard one whisper to another. That is the Deathworlder who fought an assassin with a chair. Danny pretended not to hear, but he was smiling. A real smile this time. Earth had sent its children to the stars expecting them to learn. They had learned many things. But perhaps more importantly, they had taught something as well. The galaxy was watching, and humanity was showing them what it meant to protect your own.